In hindsight, was the fire and the destruction of your plant a good thing?
It made us stand still for the next 6 or 7 years. Made life pretty tough, hard. We were insured. We got paid for all our insurance that we were insured for, but we were insured wrong, with the wrong advice. We cashed in everything we could to keep the people employed and keep the business going. All my life, superannuations and life insurances and stuff, cashed all that in. Got every quid I could to keep employing all the people, only to find 3 months later, or 6 months later it was, that my foreman had set up his own business and took half my customers with him. Somebody I trusted. That was the last time I ever let anybody get close enough to me to take anything off me. So life's been a learning curve. That's why there's family in the business in control. I've never let anybody else get close enough to take us down or take stuff away from us at all, ever since then. I come home from the fire pretty upset, brought all the boys that went down to work, brought them home here for breakfast at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was only in the room about 5 minutes, and I said, what are you going to do, what are you going to do, what are you going to do? You know, give me a chance, give me a chance. And then I said, bugger it, those bloody louts, and no one's going to burn me out and get away with it, bugger them. So I went out and got on the telephone, and there was the guy that used to come in, he used to work for PMG, and he used to do a lot of charity work. He's always sponging on me for glass and money and stuff for these charity stuff. And all of a sudden it hit me. I paid for a favour, now I want it. So I rang him up at home, and he's home at 5 o'clock in the morning. Vince, somebody, I forget his second name now, but I remember it. Rang up Vince, and he said, what is it? Told him who it was. And he said, what do you want this hour of the morning? I said, I've had the factory burn out last night, lost the lot. There's a vacant block next door. He said, what can I do? And I said, 4 telephone lines are all gone. I've got a vacant block next door. I'm going to put a caravan on it by 7 o'clock. I want 4 phone lines on there at 7:30. And he said, that's impossible. And I said, and it'll be impossible when you come around and you want all this free glass for all your kids, it'll be impossible to get it to. Come on, Vince, I need a favour, and I need it now. He come to me at 8 o'clock in the morning and said, I'm sorry, I'm half an hour late. And one of my customers drove past, and she come back about an hour later. No, she called in. She called in and said, what can I do for you? I said, I've got no idea. There's a doctor's wife who lived down at South Hurstville, and I'd been there regularly doing work for her. She said, what can I do for you? And I said, I don't know. She said, what do you got? And I said, nothing. She said, what do you mean you got nothing? And I said, I don't have a pen, a pencil or paper or a telex. She said, right, live with me. Yeah, and I still got the same telex. She was there and bought me the essentials you want. I thought about the van and the phones, but I never thought about the paper and pencil.
Well, the threat went over a period of time, actually. It started earlier with Woolworths, and then it came with Coles. And because of our involvement in supplying those 2 major chains, and we were the largest supplier probably to both of them, I was involved to come and help them and work with a couple of his private investigation people to show them how the system was working, where the Woolworths were being ripped off badly, and which was passing on much higher prices than should have been to the consumers, and quite often not as good a quality as should have been there. Well, then the major supplier found out how Woolworths knew all this, and that it was me. He did take a contract out of my life for 21 days, of which the man I'm going to see for 4:30 actually, who was my partner in a very large transport company we had. It was the biggest refrigerated transport company in Australia called Refrigerated Roadways. He was the man that used to go to the market to receive the payments for the freight, bringing product in from all over Australia into the Melbourne market. He fronted this fellow and told him that if that wasn't removed straight away, that contract, on my life that the same thing would happen to him immediately. And he was a big, strong guy, this transport man, and that bluff worked, and it was taken off me, which was very good. Then the next thing happened when Coles, I was approached by Coles also, would I support them? And I did, and it meant it was so tough with Coles, it meant us taking over the distribution centre and running it for them. And when that news got out amongst the market, all sorts of things started to happen. We had a distribution centre across the road from the market where we supplied the Milo part of the Coles operation from. Well, that got badly damaged on the Saturday night, about 1 o'clock Sunday morning actually, where they tried to burn the whole place down. They put fuses under the forklifts and into the office, and the computer area was all burnt out. So that was a hell of a mess. That was warning number one. Warning number two was a fortnight later, and just a week before we took it over, when the distribution centre manager, who was a Coles employee who turned up for work at the distribution centre in Sunshine, as he got out of his car, someone called his name, and he said yes, turned around, and two blokes living daylights out of him with baseball bats. He was taken to hospital in a real mess. The third one was after we started, and we started running the distribution centre, but also took over a fair percentage of the buying. I think about 30-40% of the buying we took over. And the head of the state of Victoria produce for Coles was a guy named John Vasilopoulos. And on a Friday night at about 9:30 at night, there was a knock on his front door. He came to the door, didn't open it, it was opaque glass door, and you could see him inside with a light behind him, and someone said, "Is that you, John?" And he said, "Yes." And he got 2 shotgun blasts through the glass window, which shot him all around the stomach, hip, what have you, and it just shattered him mentally, and he was in hospital for quite a while. When I got a phone call early the next day, could I meet them at the distribution centre, which I did. I met the 2 top men from Coles, Alan Williams, who was a state manager, and another guy from their head office, and they asked me to take over the total buying, because Coles at this stage had got very, very nervous when their top guy was shot and nobody wanted to touch the buying. So yeah, we took it over completely, and then brought about all the changes to bring it direct. At one stage, we built a huge distribution centre in Geelong. I mean, big for us, it cost millions, and at a time when we had to borrow a fair percentage of that, and then we were supplying Coles in totally the western half of Victoria. And they had a change of management at top level, and this bloke decided to take over all of the supply back to Coles themselves. And it was only a matter of months after we started this big operation, and that I didn't know how the hell we're going to pay our bills, didn't know how we're going to pay our growers, how we're going to pay our staff, because it really took the guts of our business away from us. That worried me a lot more than these mafia blokes worried me. But the fear of not being totally solvent and paying your bills as quickly as you can, that worried me more than anything else. Fortunately, I'm one of those strange creatures that as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm asleep. So it never worried me. I had the happy knack of almost mentally being able to, as I reached the driveway to home, dropping my bundle of business worries at the bottom of the drive, knowing no bugger was going to pick them up for me. They'd be there in the morning. And just forgetting it, going inside and just spending quality time with the kids and Shirley. And when I come out in the morning to go to work, I'd pick it up. And I was able to do that, which was a big help to me.
If something fails, and there haven't been many in my life, but if anything fails, I know that I'm going to learn a very valuable lesson from it. I really think the Supreme Being is very kind to us in that respect, and you gain great insight into the ways of the world by failure as well as success. In fact, success teaches you not much. Failure teaches you a lot. Probably the biggest learning was the Woolloomooloo Wharf project, which I had for 7 years in the mid to late 80s and into early 1991. And I had a 75-year lease, which I won against stiff competition from all over Australia to get a 75-year lease over the water in Woolloomooloo Bay, Wharf 11, which is on the west side of Woolloomooloo Bay, and the Finger Wharf in the middle of Woolloomooloo Bay. And I won the tender from the government, and over a period of 7 years I developed a plan which has subsequently been built by someone else. And then the New South Wales government wouldn't give me approval to build what they had leased it to me for. And so I sued the government for $103 million, being what I had spent, $31 million, and loss of profits that would have derived from it of a further $70-odd million. And we had a court case that went on for a long period of time, and then which we subsequently won, the court case, but the judge awarded us damages of $1. And so I learned you can't sue City Hall. We won the case but lost the war. So that's been an important guiding principle for me. I know you can't wave a big stick at a big company, and you certainly can't sue City Hall or a state government or a federal government. And really, I'm mindful when dealing with governments, you really have no redress if they don't wish to be fair.